Hi guys, it's actually really exciting to be back on here making a video. I know that I haven't done one in, I don't know, like a while. And I have actually been meaning to get on here for quite a few weeks now, but obviously life's just been really crazy at the moment and I really haven't had a chance. But it's been a lot of like exciting things, so that's good. Like a lot of stuff that I'm doing and a lot of stuff that I'm planning to do. If you know, time permits, and obviously if we're still around, that's always another point. But I do think on that point, I actually do think even if I'm not here next week, I still want to be planning to do things for my precious father. And if I'm not here, then that's okay as well. But you know, on that, I just wanted to talk about a couple of things today, actually. But I wanted to talk about time because, you know, I think time's going so quickly this year. Like, you know, we're in another week or something, it'll be like December, and that's really crazy. Not that December's my favorite month, because it's not. But anyway, and I know that time seems to be going really fast, and I know that a brother in Christ, I was watching a video and he was talking about time and time going fast, and I was thinking about, you know, like what he was saying, and he was talking about, obviously, not to go too in depth and confuse people, but you know, time is actually a dimension which we live in. It's one of the 10 dimensions that scientists think we live in, and it's funny that that dimension seems to be time. It always seems to be different. You know, the older you get, the quicker it seems to go. But I think with events going the way that it is, and obviously I believe, you know, we're in the end days and things like that, I think that definitely gets affected. Time's definitely getting affected. And I think it's really funny because, you know, when there's a lot of metaphors, I suppose, in the Bible talking about the end days and the tribulation and things like that, and referring to them as birth pains and labor pains and things like that, and looking at obviously during labor things speed up and obviously get more intense, and events and stuff are going to get closer together the closer to the end we get. And I think we're really actually starting to see that. And of course, because God created all the dimensions, he can obviously manipulate time if he wanted to, you know, if that is indeed what is happening. So I just think that's an interesting to note. So if that is indeed happening. But it's interesting, and I do think time is speeding up very, very quickly, and things are just happening very, very quickly. And um, it's important not to be scared. I just wanted to put that out there for whatever reason. You know, we shouldn't be scared. We should never be scared. So yeah, there's a few things I wanted to talk about. And as I was writing notes for this video, because I like to write a few scriptures down to kind of go off, because I know scriptures like kind of off the top of my head, but I never know like where to reference them. So I always look up what the actual verses are and stuff, in case you guys want to go and have a look at them for yourselves. So whilst I was doing that, I noticed in my book that I already had some notes that I'd written a couple of weeks ago, because I quite often study the Bible, and if something's on my mind, and this subject has actually been on my mind obviously for the past like month or so, then I tend to write things down. And you know, one thing for me that I have not been able to get out of my head, and I think I've said it in another video, still all I can think about is parable of 10 virgins, just going over and over in my head. Matthew chapter 25, just constantly. That's one thing that I just can't get out of my head for whatever reason. And you know, I think it's very important in the times that we're living in. So I'm going to be talking about some verses that I actually noted down. Now these are only notes, so you know, like I might have skipped some verses here and there, and not written the whole verses down, because I've mainly just wanted to look at keywords which I thought were important. So yeah, just keep that in mind, but I'll give you the references so you can go look at the whole verses and stuff like that. But yeah, okay, so Revelation 16 verse 15, it says, "See, I am coming as a thief." And there's many times when Yeshua or Jesus, you know, mentions that or says that he's coming as a thief. So I think that's a key word within itself when he talks about coming as a thief. Baruch, which is blessed, is he who is staying awake. Awake and asleep, I think, are definitely key words there as well. And guarding his garments, lest he walk naked and they see his shame. And Matthew 26:36, then Yeshua came with them to a place called Gethsemane. I'm not even going to try and pronounce it. I have no idea how to say that. And said to the Talmudim or disciples, sit here while I go over there and pray. Pray is also, I think, a very key word. Verse 38, then he said to them, my being is exceedingly grieved, even to death. Stay here and watch with me. I think watch is a huge key word there. And obviously, guys, this is right before he's going to be crucified. This is, in context. Verse 40, then he came to the Talmud and found them asleep. Once again, sleep is key word. And said to Kepha, who most people know as Peter, so were you not able to watch with me 1 hour? Watch again being a key word. But I thought it was very interesting there how he says 1 hour, like he's very specific about saying 1 hour. And look, it may mean absolutely nothing, of course. But I think that's very interesting because in Revelation 3:10, Jesus is talking to the Church of Philadelphia, which is the only raptured church. It's not, the other churches aren't going in the rapture. Like, it's only the Church of Philadelphia which is going to be kept from trial. So anyway, it says Revelation 3:10, because you have guarded my word of endurance, I also shall guard you from the hour of trial. Now let's talk about the tribulation. I think it's very funny that it talks about an hour of trial, and he was saying, were you not able to watch with me 1 hour? That may mean nothing, but to me I thought that was interesting. From the hour of trial which shall come upon all the world to try those who dwell on the earth. And even the next verse, it says, see, I'm coming speedily. Hold what you have, that no one takes your crown. Like, there's so many times when Yeshua says in Revelation and that, where he's talking that he's coming quickly or speedily. Like, he says that quite a few times. Like, so I think that's interesting. Then verse 41 of Matthew 26, it says, watch and pray, lest you enter trial. Now in Revelation 3:10, he talks about an hour of trial. So I think that's interesting. Trial is represents the tribulation. So watch and pray lest you enter trial. I think that's a warning, of what we should be doing. We're commanded to watch. We should be praying every single day. We should be aware of what's going on. And it says the spirit is indeed willing, but the flesh is weak, which is very, very true. Very, very true. And then obviously, chapter 25, the wise and the foolish virgins. I always find this very interesting. It always sticks out to me because I think it's there for a reason. What's said in the Bible is there for a reason. And I think this one in the last days is going to be one of the most important things to understand. And so verse 5 says, now while the bridegroom, which is Yeshua, took time. Now I think it's very important. I think that obviously this parable is here for a reason, and I think in as much as our prayers and stuff do make a difference, I believe that he already knows what's going to happen. Always, he wrote the Bible ahead of time, and he knows what's going to happen, because he is outside of the dimension of time which surrounds us humans. Now, I do believe that Yeshua is supposed to tarry. I believe that people are supposed to fall asleep. That's what the parable's about. And, because I believe those who really, really, love Yeshua and love the Father, love our Father, we're gonna stand fast as long as it takes. We're gonna persevere because we love him. And that's the thing. There'll be many trials which test our faith, and I believe time is another trial. So I believe that the parable is talking about the separation between the wheat and the chaff, or the wise and the unwise. So I do believe the 10 virgins are all believers, but I believe it's the same as the wheat and the chaff, and this is talking about how they get separated. I believe it's talking about, the longer the time is, like, those who really, really love him, like, will wait ages and ages and ages and won't fall away from the faith. In the end, it talks about a falling away from the faith, and I believe that's what's happening now. And I believe those who are just going to wait for him, that's the separation. There's going to be people falling away during the wait, if that makes sense. That's how I kind of see this. And so I think it's very, very important to keep in mind the wise and the foolish virgins parable of Matthew 25, because I believe that's what we're looking at right now. So I think it's very important to keep that in mind. Okay. So now while the bridegroom took time, they all slumbered and slept. So I think that's very important, because I believe that's what's happening now. People are falling asleep. Like it even says in Revelation 3, it's talking to the assembly of Sardis, the church of Sardis, when, verse 2, it says, "Wake up and strengthen what remains and is about to die, for I have not found your works complete before Elohim." And that's true. I think, the churches are sleeping. The church is asleep until the rapture, and after the rapture, then maybe they'll, wake up to what's actually going on. But I believe a lot of the churches are sleeping right now. A lot of the believers are asleep. They don't even know what's going on in the world. And we're commanded to watch, and a lot of them have no idea what's happening. No idea that the tribulation could happen at any time now. Like the tribulation could start tomorrow. We don't know. We're so close. We're ridiculously close if you look at all the world events and everything. And it's just crazy, actually. Anyway. I keep getting off topic. I'm really bad like that. So verse 10 then, it says, "And while they went to buy," because obviously they're like, go buy your own oil. "And while they went to buy, the bridegroom came, and those who were ready," those who were watching, those who were staying awake, those who were guarding their garments, went in with him to the wedding feast, and the door was shut. Yeshua is the door, and obviously the bridegroom is Yeshua. So, yeah, those who were ready went in, and those who were not really serious, those who were not watching, those who were not staying awake and being sober. So, and then verse 11, obviously the whole verse isn't here. It says, "Adonai, Adonai, Adonai, open for us," which means master. And then, verse 12, "Truly I say to you, I do not know you." You weren't watching, you weren't in a personal relationship with me. Because those that are close to Yeshua and the Father, they know what's going on. They have discernment. They just know what's going on. Because when you have a close relationship with Abba Father, you just know things, and you feel things in your spirit, and you just have like a better sense of knowing than if that connection is not strong. I've felt the difference between, when I am really, really committed to the relationship, and then there's been times where I've, got distracted and I haven't felt that connection. I haven't, so those that are with him and really with him and love him and are in a committed relationship with Abba Father and Yeshua, they know the times, It's like Yeshua talks about in the Gospels. I can't remember exactly where in the Gospels. I'll have to look that up. But he says, he's talking to the Pharisees when he says, "You hypocrites, you can discern the face of the sky, but you can't discern the times, the sign of the times." Like, they knew, they didn't know the times. They were asleep. They weren't watching, Whereas, the three wise men, they were watching. They knew when, Yeshua was being born, because they saw the Star of Bethlehem in the sky. They knew the sign of the times. They knew that the king had been born. That's how they knew, because they were watching. They knew the signs. They were watching for them. The Pharisees didn't. Yeah. Anyway, I got distracted again. Verse 13. "Watch, therefore, because you do not know the day nor the hour which the bane of Adam is coming," which is Yeshua. Mark 13, verses 36 and 37. It says, "Lest coming suddenly, coming quickly, coming as a thief, lest coming suddenly he should find you sleeping. And what I say to you, I say to all, watch. Okay? And by the way, this is not an extensive list of these keywords, watching, praying, sleeping, because there's so many. I know there's so many, but I've just, these are the ones that I just had written down already. Luke 21:36. Watch then at all times and pray that you are counted worthy to escape all that is about to take place and stand before the Bane of Adam, which is Yeshua. We're commanded to watch and to stay awake and to be sober, and not to be sleeping or found sleeping as others do. Those who sleep at night, and those who get drunk at night. Let us be sober and stay awake, and keep our garments clean. So yeah, and even like I've said it in another video, I had a dream when Yeshua was talking to me, and he was saying, basically warn people. I think it was one where I was saying that, Jesus is coming as a warning, and he said that to me in my dream, and he said to me, that he's coming so fast that if, like you were to blink, you would have missed it. That's how fast it was going to happen. And it is going to happen fast. Like, it could be today. Like, you just don't know. And that's why, the doctrine, if you will, I don't like that word, but, the doctrine of the imminent rapture, I think is so true and so important, even though it's come under a lot of fire. And I think that's, because of the enemy. The enemy even gets in among the believers and stirs up so much trouble, and they have no idea that they're, Satan is getting Christians and other believers to fight against themselves. But let's not talk about that. I've already talked about that. I think that's the reason why only that makes sense, because if you were to look at it any other way, why would he say I'm coming quickly? Why would he say to watch, if it were not a preacher of rapture? It does not make logical sense any other way when you look at it, because once the abomination of desolation takes place, we know when the end is from that point on, but stay awake, we gotta be staying awake. Okay, now I want to change kind of topics here and talk about what's coming, and I'm already quite far into the video. I'm just going to keep it going. So basically, one of the things I wanted to talk about a few weeks ago, which is why I wanted to, do a video a few weeks ago, was talking about this whole Kim Davis thing, obviously. I'm pretty sure everybody knows about that now. It was a while ago. Anyway, and I wanted to talk about that because, Kim Davis should be an example to us. Like, God does not change. Like, just because society changes what they think is acceptable and not acceptable, God does not change. He is the same yesterday, today, and forever. And she needs to be an example to us, and we need to stand fast in our faith. Like, no matter what, we need to be doing, like, what he wants us to do, because it is for us to please Abba Father and not man. Like, it is not for us to please man. Like, what's coming, the persecution and everything like that, the Bible makes it very clear that, Christian life isn't all happy days, that there will be persecution. There'll always be persecution. And that no matter what the cost, if he is our number one, then nothing else is going to matter. Our lives don't matter. Like, even, we will give up our lives if it means that much to us, So that's something we need to think about, that, and really we need to be reflecting as Christians is how far are we willing to go? Like, are we willing to give up our lives, and if we're not, what are we doing? If we're not willing to go the whole way for Abba Father, then we're not willing to give up every single thing that we have, including riches and everything like that, then we're committing idolatry. Actually, that's something I was reading about the other day. I'm learning about idolatry and the commandments, and getting more in-depth studies on those and things. And if you put anything before God, that is actually idolatry. Whether it's you're not willing to throw away your money, you're not willing to throw away any possessions, then you're putting those possessions in a higher place than God. And that is actually quite a bad sin. So we should really, really be reflecting on that. You know, if there's anything in your life you're not willing to give up, including your life, if you love yourself more than you love God and you're not willing to give up your life, then you're committing idolatry. So I think it's something that everyone needs to reflect on. And, you know, right now, what's going on in the world already, we're already seeing the Christian Holocaust, like, worse than anything. Like, of course, the Jewish Holocaust was really bad, but right now the Christian Holocaust is coming, and Jews are dying too. Like, I'm not ignoring that, but you know, it's coming more to more believers, like all of us in general, and we need to be thinking that if we don't get taken in the rapture, because there's going to be a lot of people who are sleeping and will not be ready, and so they will not be going into the wedding supper. There's a lot of people that are going to be left behind. There's only one church that gets raptured, 1 out of 8. 1 out of 8. That's like a tenth of believers that may or may not go in the rapture. Less than a tenth of believers, or more. I'm not good at maths, so let's not go there. You know, so, and of course, you know, in the Lord's Prayer, I don't like that name because Lord's another name for Baal. And if you don't know who Baal is, you should do some research on that because it's extremely important. You know, in Luke 11:2, in the prayer, it says, you know, let your desire be done, not mine. So I always say, you know, if it's your desire that I stay behind, then I will do that. I really don't want to, but if that's his desire, then I will do that as well, you know. So, yeah, and even looking at things like that university shooting, which I think happened a couple of weeks ago, I'm not sure. Time's going crazy, so I'm not sure how long ago these events were. It seems like they were only yesterday, but probably not. You know, like there was that university over in America, and forgive me, I can't remember which one it was. Anyway, and there was a shooting, and the shooter, you know, basically asked them if they were Christian, and if they said yes, then they were shot in the head. If they didn't reply or said no, they were just shot in another, like a leg or something. You know, we need to be ready for this because it's already come into the Western nations. We can't, you know, pretend like this is not important to us anymore because even we're not going to be protected for very much longer. The tribulation is going to be worldwide. The persecution is going to be worldwide. Like, you know, it's going to be everywhere. So we need to be thinking about what we're going to do, how we're going to stand up for our faith. Are we going to be like King David? Are we going to, you know, deny our faith if there's a gun to our head? You know, it's really serious topics, but in all honesty, we're in the end days. We need to be seriously considering these things, seriously thinking about death, seriously thinking about our deaths, you know, our lives, what's important to us, whether, you know, we're ready to see our family get tortured, murdered. It's gonna happen. Like, Yeshua's already told us these things ahead of time so that we could, you know, be aware, and if we're watching, we can be aware and know what's going on. So please, please, please take some time to reflect on this subject, okay? But I'm just going to read a few verses which I think are important in context. You know, in Revelation 21:8, it says, but as for the cowardly and untrustworthy and abominable, I probably said that word wrong, and, and murderers, and those who whore, and drug sorcerers, and idolaters, which are those who make up their own gods and put anything before God, and all the false, I think there's a word missing there, all the false, hang on, let me just check that. I might not have written that verse down correctly, and I'd really like to quote correct verses. That'd be really, really good. What's that? 21:8. It's a good thing I have my Bible in front of me. Just all the false. Okay, that was the whole sentence. I felt like there was a word missing there, but there wasn't. Their part is in the lake of fire and sulfur, which is the second death. Now, notice they're the first ones that get thrown into the lake of fire, the cowardly. You know, that verse has always stuck out to me, and I think I'm kind of understanding why now, because we need to understand that they're the first ones to be thrown into the lake of fire, is the cowardly. Those who don't stand up for their faith, you know, or other people, or it depends on the situation, obviously, but the cowardly, that can extend to many situations, so we should think about that. And we're to love our neighbour as ourselves. We're to put others before ourselves. But, if we're being cowardly and not putting our neighbour before ourselves, that's another way that can be expressed, I guess. And you can look at it from that way. Okay, Matthew 24, which obviously we all know speaks of the end times. It says, verse 7, for nation shall rise against nation and reign against reign. I think we're beginning to see that. I think, some people have even quoted that World War III had started. And I don't know whether I've been talking about it on my channel, but I've been talking about World War III for a very long time because Albert Pike, I'm pretty sure it was Albert Pike, talked about 3 world wars before even the First World War. It's going to happen. It's, and I'm not saying it's a good thing, but, we need to be real about this, the reality. And there shall be scarcities of food, which we're kind of seeing in a way, and deadly diseases, Ebola, and all that. And Ebola's come back and now made resurgence in Africa. And earthquakes in various places. We know about that because there's ridiculous earthquakes in, Japan, Nepal, all those ones. Those are the big ones too, not just everyday ones. There's like over 1,000 earthquakes worldwide every single week, and the number is exponentially increasing. Verse 8, and these are the beginning of birth pains. Now, I think this, as I said before, I think that's a reference to time and the timing of these events. Verse 9, this is the part I wanted to talk about. Then they shall deliver you up to affliction and kill you, and you shall be hated by all nations for my name's sake. All nations will hate you because you're a believer, because you believe in Yeshua and his death and resurrection. Everyone's going to hate us. They're going to deliver us up. They're going to torture us. They're going to kill us. There's going to be a lot of beheadings in the end days. I'm sorry to be so graphic, but, we need to be realistic here. I've spent a lot of time reflecting on this. I've spent months thinking about this, so it probably seems that I'm being a little bit callous here, but it's only because I've spent so long thinking about my own death and things like that I've already accepted this. And this is why Yeshua warned us ahead of time that these things are going to happen, so that we could be ready, so that if we have to lay down our lives, we should have already thought about it. We should already be there. We should already be willing to do any sacrifice for Yeshua, because Yeshua, the Good Shepherd, laid down his life for us. We should be willing to do the same for him. And don't be afraid of a man who can kill the flesh. Don't be afraid of that. Be afraid of the Father who can kill the spirit and the flesh, or the soul and the flesh, spirit or soul. Anyway, one of the two. And we shouldn't be afraid of this death. If anything, we should be excited, if we're going to be, because it's like, if I'm getting murdered, I'm just going to be thinking, oh, I'm seeing Daddy in a second. Like, that would be me. Like, that sounds so silly, but, like, I'm just so excited to go home. I don't even care how I'm getting there. Just when it happens, I'm going to be so happy, just to get home. Because, it's going to be 1 second of pain and then forever of eternity that's just so awesome that it doesn't even matter if you suffered, And there's a lot of Christians that are suffering. A lot of them worldwide are being tortured and murdered, set on fire, crucified. A lot of Christians are being crucified. I'm sure the mainstream media is not telling you about these things that are going on, and that's why we need to be watching. That's why we need to be watching. So yeah, you should just be watching. So yeah, there's a lot of things going on. And then verse 13, but he who shall have endured to the end shall be saved. So it's just about enduring. Endurance is a huge thing. I pray constantly that we all have enough faith and strength to endure even unto death, in case that happens. Okay. Luke 21:34. And take heed to yourself, lest your hearts be weighed down by gluttony and drunkenness. That's why we're told to be sober. And worries of life, that day shall come upon you suddenly. That's talking about the tribulation. That day is the tribulation. yeah, that day, because it's referring to the wrath, which is tribulation. 21:36. Watch then and pray at all times. Watch then at all times and pray that you be counted worthy to escape all this that is about to take place and stand before the bane of Adam. I've already said that verse, but I think that's important, that we should be watching and praying that we are counted worthy to be caught away before this all happens. I pray that I'm lucky enough to, worthy enough to be not here for all this, because it's going to be horrible. I mean, it's already horrible. We haven't even entered the tribulation yet, and there's people being murdered and everything. So, even that we should be aware of, because, some Christians are going to die before even the rapture even happens. That's just the way it is. So we just need to be aware of that. And talking about, denying Yeshua, there were some people, during that university shooting that might have been Christians that said, no, I'm not a Christian, to save their own lives. And, we need to remember Matthew 10:32-33, Yeshua said, everyone therefore who shall confess me before men, him I shall also confess before my Father who is in the shamayim, the heavens. But whoever shall deny me before men, I shall deny before my Father who is in the shamayim. So, if I had a gun to my head, I would not be denying Yeshua. I'd rather die, because you're going to end up not making it into heaven. I presume is basically what that's kind of saying. Yeah, so you should think about that too, and not do that. I mean, of course, we can always repent, but we should be aware. We should already have thought about these things before the situation comes. And of course, we can always say what we're going to do, but then again, in the situation, things don't happen the way we imagine them to. But it is something to think about. But yeah, just a little bit of encouragement now, guys. Now that I've said all these horrible things, and people are thinking, oh, there's such an ominous video and stuff like that, if that's the right word. It's all dark and dreary. Luke 21:28. And when these things begin to take place, lift up your head, because your redemption draws near, which it does. And 1 Thessalonians 4:17-18. Then we, the living who are left over, shall be caught away together with them in the clouds to meet the Adon in the air. And so shall we always be with the Adon. So then encourage one another with these words. So, guys, we're so close to the end. We're so close. We're so close. Like, we're in the last second. Like, things are going to go crazy, and, we may not even be here for that. No, I pray to Abba Father, please don't let us all be here. Those who are worthy enough to escape the tribulation and the hour of trial. That's going to be the biggest blessing ever. But even those who don't go in the rapture, it's a second chance. It's a second chance for you, But that's the thing, don't assume that you can be saved after the rapture if you're not saved and you're watching this video, because anything could happen at any time. You could die today, and if you die in your sins without repentance, and you should be baptized as well. I know there's a controversy over whether we should be baptized or not within the church denominations. I believe that we need to be baptized. Yeshua says that we need to be born from above. I know I have it written here somewhere. John 3:3, talks about it. So go look at John 3, and it says, Yeshua says you must be born from above to enter the reign of the shamayim, the heavens. So, and he says, do not marvel that I have said this to you. You must be born from above. And if Yeshua says that, it means it's correct. That's the way I look at it. Yeshua's words should be taken highly among other people's words, So just keep your lamps lit, guys, and trims, do not let them go out, do not fall asleep, we just need to be watching and waiting, because our blessed hope is going to be here anytime, could be here, like, before I finish the sentence. I wish that would happen. you know, so we just need to be watching and waiting and not falling asleep, being sober, not letting ourselves be weighed down by cares of the world, you know, because otherwise he's going to overtake us as a thief. And so we need to be alert and staying awake at all times, lest we may fall into trial. We need to be watching and awake, lest we fall into trial. So, you know, we need to be encouraging one another that he is coming, and he's coming very, very soon. And yeah, that's basically it. That I think that was just a few things, I guess, that have been on my mind to share for a while, a few bits and pieces here and there. So I just thought I'd make another video while I kind of had a little bit of time to spare, but I kind of don't at the same time. Life's just crazy, but it's all good stuff. It's all good stuff, you know. God is good all the time, and all the time God is good, you know. Praise him. He is so good to us all the time. And you know, he's such a wonderful daddy. Like, anyone who knows Abba Father, you know that he's just such a great daddy, and we're so blessed to be adopted by him, you know, spiritually. And you know, just talk to him. You know, that's the best advice I can give anyone. You know, even if you don't believe, just talk to him. You know, I talk to him like I'm just talking now. I just talk out loud to him, or sometimes in my head I just talk to him, and I know that he's listening. He's always, always listening, and he loves his precious children so much. Even those of us that are sinning, you know, he loves. You know, Yeshua died for us while we were still sinners, while we were still in our sin. You know, he loved us that much, and you know, Abba loved us so much that he sent his own son into the world to die, to take all the burden away, to take the curse of sin away, and everything like that. You know, so be watching, waiting, praying. Praying is a huge one. You know, pray every day and read the Bible every day. Keep your lamps lit, and that's your oil. Reading the Word and praying. So, you know, we just need to stay connected to Abba Father. So yeah, I think that's about it that I had to say for now. I hope all you guys are well. I miss not being on here and talking to you guys. I love you all, and I hope that really, 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 really soon that, you know, we're all going to be up and out of here, and having a great time up there with Abba Father and Yeshua. So yeah, just encourage one another, guys, and stay awake and pray and watch. Okay. Alright. I love you guys. I'll see you guys again soon. Alright. Bye.